Okay, so now that we're comfortable with naming our layers, grouping our layers, and organizing our document, what we need to do is we need to learn how to save it. Right? What we're gonna do is we're gonna save. We're gonna save in two ways. One, we're gonna save just a regular Illustrator format. Another, we're gonna save as a PDF, and then I'm gonna show us how to export all our artboards out individually, and how to save them, you know, as a combined PDF where it saves like multiple pages in the same document. Okay, and then maybe even show you how to save it with a transparent background. So, um, obviously, the first thing that we have is saving it as a native Illustrator document. So, file, save or save as, save copy. Just to know the difference between these three. If you already have a name, and if you look right next to the name, if you started on your document already, there's a little asterisk next to the AI. What that means is that your document is not saved. So when you have that little asterisk next to the name, that means that you haven't saved your document yet. So if you just press File Save, it's going to save the document as it is, right? Save As is going to allow you to save a copy. So you can save it in a different location. You can save it with a different name. It's just basically saying, okay, or you want to save a version of what you already have, right? So that's Save As. You can also change the format when you do Save As. The same thing applies when you go to Save Copy, right? So if I do Save a Copy, basically it brings up the dialog box and it gives you the same information. But I would say using a copy is like a version of what you had before. Saving as, usually for me, I change the name, or I want to change it, save it in a different location or something like that. So that's the difference between save as and save a copy. Um, Now Illustrator, again, .ai is the format that you open up with Illustrator and you can edit it, and it's just, a native Illustrator format. EPS is a lot of times printers, professional printers, will want you to save it as EPS because it's called encapsulated format or something like that. But basically, um, they use that for different software purposes, that they have other types of software that the Illustrator file can go into. So EPS is usually they'll request you to save it in EPS format for printing. A template, we'll try to get into a template later on, but basically using a template, if you have something that is a repetitive process that you do a lot, you can save it as a template, and every time you open it up, the artwork will be like you saved it, and it won't have extra information on it. It'll just have that like template there. PDF is called a portable document format, and PDF basically anybody can open it between Mac, Windows, whatever, and so you can open it up on your phone or tablets, things like that. So it's a portable document format where it can be opened up on any device. Um, SVG. So this is called a scalable vector graphics, and a lot of times this is used in web design or some other, mobile devices, things like that. But we'll learn more about that later. But they got the SVGZ and the SVG, but usually that's for web design. So in this case, we already know how to save as Illustrator. So what we'll do now is we'll save as PDF, and I'm gonna just save to the desktop. So when I choose PDF, the .pdf shows up next to the name, and if I choose desktop, I'll click on save. The dialog box will show up, and preserve Illustrator. You don't normally have to choose anything to do anything with this. I usually click on optimize and also view PDF after saving. So once I do that, I'll press save, and what will happen is that PDF will pop up, and because you have multiple artboards on your document, each document or each artboard will save as a page. Anything that goes outside that PDF, the artboard, is not going to be printable. So it's not gonna save into that document page. So if it overlaps on the outside of the artboard, it's not gonna be included in that page. Okay. Now, the other thing is sometimes you might want to export this as a JPEG, or if you want to save this with a transparent background. So the way you do that is if I go to File, Export, and the first one is Export for Screens, right? So we have Export for Screens, Export As, and then Save for Web. So I'll go to Export for Screens, and this particular one is pretty powerful because it asks you which artboard do you want to export, or do you want to export them all. It says, do you want to do a range, like maybe you just want to do export artboard 1 and 3. Where do you want to save it? Do you want to create a subfolder for it? And then this is the format. So you can create multiple formats in this particular dialog box to save out 3 different ways if you want, right? The scale, this is 1x, so that means it's not going to change scale. It has all the different things. You can put a specific height and width, a specific resolution, or you can say, I need you to make it 2 times bigger, 3 times bigger, 4 times bigger, and it will scale it and save it out. If the suffix, if you want to put something at the end of it that says like 01, 02, 03 or something like that, you can do that. Or if you want to type in a message like round or square or whatever, you can do that. And then the format is PNG. And you have all these other different formats. But PNG that's a format that allows you to save transparency in the background, right? So the 2 formats or file formats that allow you to save transparency is PNG and GIF. And the GIF is something we'll see in one of the other save options. But the PNG it's a high quality transparency that allows the colors to stay vibrant, and it just kind of it keeps the file small size, but it also saves the transparent background. So I'm gonna leave it PNG. I'll do 1x, and I'll say add scale, and I'll do 2x, and then I'll add scale and do 3x. All right. On the 2x size, I'm going to change from PNG to JPEG 100. Now the 100 means 100%. JPEG 80 and some of those other ones, it means a percentage of the quality that you want to save it at. The higher the percentage, the higher like the number, that means the file size is going to be a little bit bigger. So the lower the number on JPEG, that means it's going to compress it more, and the file size is going to be smaller. Okay. So with that, I'm going to choose my location. I'll choose the desktop, and you don't have to create a new folder for this, because when you do export for screens, it's going to automatically add a folder for you. Okay, so I'm going to do export artboard. And on my screen, let me minimize this. I got a 3x folder, a 2x folder, and a 1x folder. In the 1x, each artboard is there, and there's no white behind it because it's transparent, and those are PNGs, and it's exporting at the same size. Then the 2x folder, which I changed to JPEG. These are a little bit bigger, and it has white behind it. And then I have the 3x, which is 3 times as big, and it's transparent. So if you know that you need multiple sizes of something, you can do this for export for screens. Let me take this, I'm going to throw this in the trash. Okay. Now go back. And now I'm going to go to File, Export As. And basically, with Export As, you can use artboards, and it'll say select all of them. You can export one artboard, and then it says where do you want to export it. I can also click on this little options box to pull up the format, and then I can say it gives me a lot more options in terms of what I want to export it as. JPEG, AutoCAD drawing, Photoshop. A lot of times when you, like for instance in my other it's the GRA2117, where it's a combination of Photoshop and Illustrator. It's advanced imaging. In that particular case, I'll start off a drawing, let's say in Illustrator, and I'll export as a Photoshop document. So that Illustrator file will take all the layers that I created in Illustrator and translate that into a Photoshop document and keep all the layers intact. Right? So that's a good thing to know about Photoshop. The TIFF and Targa, all these different things. Sometimes these are used for publication design when you export as a TIFF or a Targa, and then you import that into your layouts. But the PNG works perfectly fine. JPEGs work fine. Sometimes TIFF just kind of handles the color a little bit better on print. So there's a lot of different formats that you can save out as. So that's the export as. Okay, and then I go to export save for web. Save for web is interesting because, let me just do this here. Save for web is interesting because you may or may not know this, but Illustrator can actually do animation. If you have a certain amount of layers and you kind of export them out in sort of like a flash format, the layers that you create and you build, you can actually make them move when you export out of here. So you would say export as SWV or something like that. I forgot, SWF, SWF. It's an SWF file, and you can do that. But you can also export as a GIF. And I know some people say GIF, some people say GIF. But the GIF animation you can do in Illustrator, export it out, and you can have movement. Also, a GIF allows for a transparent background as well. And then you have the regular formats like JPEG high, JPEG low. And this is what we saw when we saw JPEG 100. So like if it would be JPEG 100, it'd be like JPEG and then quality at 100, 80, 50, that type of thing. PNG 24, that's the highest quality. Transparency. If I put it back to JPEG, you can see that the JPEG has white background. You can change the size here, the percentage. In Photoshop, this is something that you would use to optimize your images before you save it to web. On Illustrator, the file sizes are already small because it's vector. So you don't really need to do save for web with Illustrator. The point of Illustrator is that it's a vector format so that it's scalable. Once you do save for web, it makes it as a pixel, and so the pixel value makes it not scalable anymore. It's in pixels. So this is only used when you know you need to, go to web or something like that, where you want to save out as a JPEG or a GIF or something like that. But mainly for Illustrator, you're saving in PDF, you're saving in AI, or you're saving in PNG. Okay, those are going to be the best file formats to maintain your Illustrator quality. Okay, so I'll press cancel, and for you guys to turn in your work to me on Blackboard, you're going to save it out as PDF. Okay, and so when you have multiple artboards, I want you to save it out as PDF so that all of your individual artboards are contained into one file. Make sense? Okay. Let me see. So save as, export. Okay, now this is important. Package. Package means sometimes you'll work on a computer here at school, sometimes you'll work on a computer at home, or maybe you have to work on a friend's computer. You use certain fonts that may not be on a computer that you need to go to next. So what you do is you select package so that when you go to a different computer, any graphic files like pictures or images, any fonts, all of those things get packaged into one folder, and then when you open up that one folder, everything's there for you to work with. So that's what package is about. We'll probably use that later on down the line, but this is definitely something that's important because a lot of people say, oh, I use this font, but I don't have it. Well, when you use a font at home, package it, it'll take that font, put it in a folder, you come to class, you can open it up and install the font. Okay? And that's it. So those are all your different save options. Reminder, whenever you turn this particular thing in, I want you to save it as a PDF, and that's how you're going to turn that in.